Sometimes what evolution creates is so fundamentally wrong, our minds can barely accept what we're seeing. Today we're looking at creatures whose anatomy and survival strategies challenged scientists' understanding of what's possible in nature. Let's start with something that shouldn't have a skeleton. The goblin shark, a living fossil that hunts like a nightmare.
4,000 feet below, the goblin shark.
Light is nearly absent, and even bioluminescence flickers faintly at best. But the goblin shark doesn't need light.
Picture this. You're in a submarine, deep in the ocean's twilight zone, when something drifts past your viewport. At first, it looks almost normal. A shark, pinkish gray skin, but then you see its face. The snout extends forward like a flattened sword. The jaw hangs slack. And then without warning, the jaw launches forward from inside its skull, extending outward like a xenomorph, lined with needle teeth, snapping closed on prey before retracting back into place. This is the goblin shark. It's called a living fossil because it's remained virtually unchanged for 125 million years. It survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. It survived ice ages, mass extinctions, and the rise of mammals. And it did so by looking like something that escaped from a deleted scene in a Guillermo del Toro film. Its skin is translucent enough that you can see the blood vessels beneath, giving it that unsettling pinkish hue. Its eyes are tiny, almost useless. It doesn't need them. It hunts by bioelectric reception, sensing the bioelectric fields of prey in total darkness. And that jaw? Scientists call it slingshot feeding. The jaw shoots forward at such speed that prey has no time to react. It's over in a fraction of a second. Goblin sharks can grow up to 13 feet long, but we've only seen a handful of living specimens. Most of what we know comes from dead ones pulled up by deep-sea trawlers, already mangled and distorted by the pressure change. We don't know how they mate, we don't know how long they live, we don't even know how many exist. They drift through the abyss like ghosts from the Cretaceous, unchanged and unbothered by 125 million years of evolution happening around them. The blobfish, the face of alien adaptation.
Der Blobfish bewohnt die Tiefsee vor den Küsten Australiens und Neuseelands.
You've seen the pictures. The saggy, gelatinous face, the drooping frown, the dead-eyed stare of an animal that looks like it's given up on existence. The blobfish has become a meme, a joke, the world's ugliest animal. But here's the thing, that's not what it actually looks like. The blobfish doesn't live in our world, it lives 2,000 to 4,000 feet below the surface, where the pressure is 60 to 120 times greater than at sea level. Down there, it doesn't need bones, it doesn't need muscle density, it doesn't need structure. Its body is made almost entirely of a gelatinous mass, slightly less dense than water, allowing it to float just above the ocean floor without expending energy. It doesn't swim, it doesn't hunt, it just exists, drifting along, mouth open, waiting for food to float into it. In its natural habitat, the blobfish looks normal, almost fish-like. But when we drag it to the surface, the pressure drops so rapidly that its body collapses, its flesh sags, its face distorts into that infamous melting grimace. What we see isn't the blobfish. It's the wreckage of the blobfish, pulled violently out of the only environment where its body makes sense. And yet, even knowing this, you can't unsee it. The image is burned into our collective consciousness. The blobfish is evolution's reminder that normal is relative. What works in one world becomes a nightmare in another. The axolotl, the salamander that refuses to grow up.
They almost never transition to living on land. They retain their gills and remain aquatic.
Most animals go through stages. Tadpole to frog, caterpillar to butterfly, larva to adult. The axolotl said no. This Mexican salamander remains in its larval form its entire life. It keeps its external gills, those feathery pink fronds that branch out from the sides of its head. It stays aquatic. It never develops lungs. It never crawls onto land. Scientists call this neoteny, the retention of juvenile features into adulthood. But here's where it gets stranger. The axolotl can transform. Under extreme stress or hormonal changes, it sometimes undergoes metamorphosis, losing its gills, developing lungs, and turning into a terrestrial salamander. But when it does this, it doesn't thrive. It struggles. The land-based form is weaker, shorter-lived, less successful. Evolution didn't make a mistake. The axolotl chose to stay a child because childhood works better. And then there's the regeneration. Cut off an axolotl's leg, and it grows back. Not just the limb, but the bones, the muscles, the nerves, perfectly reconstructed within weeks. Cut off a chunk of its heart, it regenerates. Part of its brain, it regenerates. Even portions of its spinal cord can be rebuilt from scratch. Scientists have been studying axolotls for a century, trying to unlock the secret of this regeneration.
Es un modelo altamente apreciado por sus grandes características.
Hoping to apply it to human medicine. So far, we failed. The axolotl's body does something ours can't, operating on biological rules we still don't fully understand. In the wild, they're nearly extinct. Pollution and habitat destruction have reduced their population to a few fragmented lakes near Mexico City. But in labs and aquariums around the world, they thrive. Thousands of them, pink, white, golden, black, eternally smiling with that strange, wide-mouthed grin. They refuse to grow up, they refuse to die, and they do it all while looking like a Pokemon designed by someone on hallucinogens. The Surinam toad, motherhood as body horror.
These Suriname sea toads are finally breaking free from mom. And those holes? Those are her back.
Some animals give birth, others lay eggs. The Surinam toad does both and neither in a way that feels like it was designed to disturb. When it's time to reproduce, the female's back becomes soft and spongy. The male presses fertilized eggs into her skin. Her flesh swells around them, forming individual pockets. Dozens of them, buried just beneath the surface. For months, the eggs develop inside her back. You can see them, small lumps beneath the skin, moving, growing. And then when they're ready, the babies don't hatch out into water like normal tadpoles. They emerge fully formed, tiny, perfect toads erupting from her mother's back in slow motion, like something out of a Cronenberg film. Her skin stretches, each pocket opens. One by one, baby toads wriggle free, pop out, and swim away. Afterwards, her back molts, the pockets close, the skin smooths over, and the cycle begins again. There's no evolutionary reason this needs to look so disturbing, but it does. It violates something primal in us, some instinct that says skin shouldn't do that, bodies shouldn't work that way. And yet, for the Surinam toad, this is normal. This is survival. This is motherhood. Why do these exist? You might be asking, what is the point? Why does nature create things that seem so unnecessarily bizarre? The answer is simpler than you think. Because it works. The goblin shark's nightmare jaw catches prey in the dark. The blobfish's gelatinous body saves energy at crushing depths. The axolotl's eternal youth gives it an edge in its environment. The Surinam toad's skin pockets protect her young in murky water. Evolution doesn't optimize for beauty. It doesn't care about elegance or logic or our sense of what's right. It only cares about one thing. Does it survive long enough to reproduce? If the answer is yes, then no matter how strange, how grotesque, how impossible it seems, evolution keeps it. These creatures are reminders that life is not designed. It is sculpted by failure, mutation, and blind luck across millions of years. And sometimes what survives is something that shouldn't exist at all, but does, and will continue to, long after we're gone. So here's the truth that keeps me up at night. Somewhere in the ocean right now, a fish is eating its dinner with a parasite that destroyed its tongue and became it. The fish doesn't know, or maybe it does, and it just keeps living with it. Either possibility is horrifying. We like to think we understand our bodies, our boundaries, where we end and the world begins. But the tongue-eating louse proves that even those lines can blur, that something can take part of you, replace it, and you'll just keep swimming. Nature isn't cruel, it's just indifferent, and somehow that's worse.